Welcome back to Stock Market Weekly. I am your host, Evan Medeiros, for Friday, July 5th, 2024. Got some spicy stories on deck, so let's get right into it. Today, front and center, we got some jobs data out this Friday, and unemployment is finally now starting to tick up here. We got 3-year highs in the unemployment rate. I believe we came in at 4.1%. Market now starting to price in that the Fed will likely get a rate cut in by September. Obviously, no guarantees yet, but that brings 10-year yield, that yield and interest rate expectations back down. We play this game of ping pong that we've been talking about with every single economic or inflation data report. The market gets these high or low knee-jerk reactions, and right now this is a favorable one for yields. We saw Tesla continue to explode this week. It was a trade we talked about a couple of weeks back on June the 21st was our chart of the week, was Tesla, and that is certainly working to the upside, but we're taking the other side. We're going to talk more about Tesla in this video. We also had Bitcoin flushing through the May lows. We've got some updates there, some conversation and opportunities to talk about, and just generally speaking, it's this Mag 7 domination. I wonder if they're getting tired of winning. Mag 7 stocks just doing so damn well in 2024, and that trade continues to work. So stick around. Let's get into the charts right now. All right, we've got some charts in front of us. TC2000, that is the platform we're using throughout this video. It's a platform that we support here at the Trade Risk. So if you are a user, reach out to us. Let us know if you need something built for the platform. I do a lot of custom coding and scripting for this platform, and I can help you get just a little bit more out of it if you've got some ideas. So check out our website, thetraderist.com, for TC2000 stuff. I also want to bring your attention to our wonderful sponsor, IBD, Investors Business Daily. Chances are you've heard of them. They've been around for quite some time. They are running a pretty dang good sale right now on their MARKETSURGE product. I love TC2000. It is where I get all my technical studies, my scans, my indicators. I spend a lot of time there. But anytime I need to actually understand what a company does, look at fundamentals, or care about earnings, or any type of tracking of fundamental data, I use MARKETSURGE. You get 5 weeks, $39.95. There's a link in the description of this platform. In this video, you can get access to it. Check out the description of this video. Get yourself on the sale, take a test drive, do some homework and research this summertime. $40, 5 weeks, pretty good deal. So that is it. Let's get into the numbers here. 1 week returns green almost across the board. Russell 2000 is a little bit stubborn. It was the leader last time. Now it's lagging. But we had the Dow up 0.66%, S&P up almost 2%, and the Nasdaq 100 3.6%, up almost 10% this past month. I think we got a little bit of a data issue here with volatility. Looks like things are flat. I think it was a pretty quiet week, but I'm not sure this data is populating right now, so we're going to skip that. Move on to our sector analysis here. Take a look at what worked, what didn't. It was still a mixed race. So 3 out of the 4 indices were green this week, but we did have outsized performance here in consumer discretionary and technology, followed by communication services, all up about 2.5 to almost 4%. On the downside, energy, healthcare, industrials firmly in the red there, underperforming. And you can kind of see over the past 1 month, you're starting to see the separation here on sectors. This really isn't anything new. We've kind of been talking about technology and then everything else. There's been some sectors that are trying to get their, fits and starts. They're trying to turn around. They're trying to get some rotation, and it seems like they make 2 steps forward and then they get hit on the head and then retrace 2 steps. So we're trying to get a little bit of broadening out here, but it is tough. It is just Mag 7 market cap weighted domination, and we're going to talk more about that as we move along here. You can take a look at our smart trends on the sectors. Again, you're seeing technology in the top left, long and strong here, just been in a monster uptrend. Consumer communication services as well, consumer discretionary as well. But you've got mediocre things. I mean, you've got utilities down here, you've got industrials, you've got materials, they're all just kind of floundering in these sideways to downtrends. So we're trying to get some reversal signals here every so often, but it is tough for things to stick. Money just wants to stay with the tech trade, and it is certainly working. If we look at market breadth here underneath the hood, you can see we're still getting, and in fact, improvement underneath the hood here. So as much as technology is dominating, some of the smaller techs are starting to work a little bit, and you are getting more stocks joining the 52-week highs list, right? Lots of folks are continue to worry about this narrowing breadth, and look, it could be a problem. We don't love when we don't have a broad participation in stocks, but we know that the market can catch up in itself. There can be rotation, and the smaller names can start to catch up while the big guys take a break, right? So we are still seeing the big guys move, but it looks like on the 52-week highs list, we're starting to get more stocks join them hitting 52-week highs. That's good. That's encouraging. I'm still not seeing any big breakout numbers, but like we've been talking about, you know, this kind of sleepy period here where there's not a tremendous amount of new highs, not a tremendous amount of new lows. Let's just wait until we get a more definitive push in either direction to start to get a more convincing signal, right? We don't have to run around screaming, you know, oh, everything is so narrow here. It's a worry. It's a sell signal. It's a sell signal. Let's wait for some confirmation here. Let's wait to see if the 52-week lows list expands. Then we can start to get more concerned. That's the way I like to view this. And so far, I think it's serving us well to kind of stick with the trend, stick with what's working, and just wait for that proof and burden on the bears to prove us otherwise. Let's go to commodities here, which had some pretty good moves this week. Silver, copper, gold, oil, ag, everything was working here. What wasn't working was natural gas, and what wasn't working was Bitcoin. And so it was, generally speaking, a pretty positive week here. The dollar index was down, certainly helping put some tailwinds to that. And last but not least, if we look at Treasury yields, you can see again a favorable week. A lot of that favorable price action, that trading came on Friday on the heels of that jobs number, again with market perhaps pricing in a greater likelihood that we are going to get a rate cut in September from the Fed. So get some improvement here, and we're moving back down towards recent lows across maturities. That is nice to see. Now let's get into some individual charts here. We're going to start it off with the major indices. Weekly chart on the S&P 500. Remember, we talked about the ominous tails up here, right? From the back-to-back kind of rejection last week. We were going to see if the bears could get some follow-through. Could they start the week and actually see more selling pressure? Could we get the follow-through? The answer was no. We continue to see this market just get small signs of selling, some hints of selling. We essentially throw out the bait for the sellers to take and for, you know, the tight stop losses to get triggered. And then there is no follow through selling to that reversal, and the market continues to grind higher here. So it seems like it continues to frustrate the majority, and the market melts up here. Again, when we look now in hindsight, we've got this nice picture perfect consolidation, classic continuation pattern just underneath all-time highs, digestion through time, market broke out, S&P is at new all-time highs. If we look at the Nasdaq 100, even stronger here. Again, you've got this slight period of mostly a digestion and consolidation through time. We put in the worry there. We had a little bit of a tail at the top end. We rejected those recent highs, right? We talked about last Friday was a day to take notice where the market, tried to push up to new highs, failed, reversed, and closed on the lows. And once again, we said coming into this week, can we see follow through, right? Can the sellers actually, bring out the ammunition to see another down day? And we didn't, right? We had a brief attempt on Monday to bring this market down, right? We probed down to about 476 or so, reversed, closed strong, follow through to the upside, follow through the upside, and follow through to the upside. It was a short trading week because of the holiday. Needless to say, though, bulls were in full control here, minus the Russell 2000, right? So the Russell 2000, it was the leader last week. It was green when everything else was red. Now it's flip-flopping the other way. And again, this is kind of, it all ties into the inflation expectations, value stocks, growth stocks, and the sensitivity to interest rates. These all things, these things go hand in hand. It's kind of why you see this ping pong action on these different weeks. So Russell 2000 firmly in this range, nothing new to say. So let's talk about a couple of other macro markets, and then we'll get into the juicy headlines for this week. Gold working nicely here, up 2.75%, breaking out. Again, this has mostly been consolidating through time here. It's a weekly chart we're looking at, but the past, call it 3 months, 4 months, it's really gone nowhere. It's consolidated just underneath its all-time highs, and it's starting to, rev back up to the upside here. So wouldn't be surprised to see more follow through. Again, it had a strong move on Friday, so it's a little bit of a chase here, but certainly bullish trend just underneath all-time highs. I mean, I know it's a boring place to be for lots of folks, but certainly getting some nice action there. And even the miners, I highlighted a couple of those, I think, on StockTwits or Twitter or X this week, and a couple of those miners, which I do have some exposure to, have been working. So nice to see some action there in gold. And I want to talk about Mag 7 stocks real quick. So Mag 7 on the week here, so our Mag 7 just layout. 1 week returns on just the big 7 stocks here. Tesla up 27%. We're about to drill into that specifically, but really I want to call out Apple, Meta, and even Microsoft now starting to go kind of vertical here in the short term. So let's just take a quick peek at them. Apple, I mean, look at this chart, $3.4 trillion. I believe it's the largest now company in the world once again. And you can see it's trading just so strongly here. And ever since, this gap up here, right? Apple had played a different type of relative strength game. It was the underperformer for most of the first half of the year. And then it really has got its act together and just been super strong ever since. So it's probably extended now above its upper Bollinger Band. It's certainly a chase. It's not a new move, but it's working clearly. Microsoft, another one here, especially on Friday, going fairly parabolic. I mean, as parabolic as a $3 trillion company can go, I would say this is certainly doing the work as NVIDIA takes a little bit of a breather here. So the Mag 7 stocks, again, just continue to dominate, continue to get a tremendous amount of capital rotation and attention from flows and traders. NVIDIA taking a little bit of a break, but we've got lots of other things working. And last but not least, Meta. Look at this move on Friday, 5.87% up. That's new all-time highs now for Meta. The dip buyers came in, I remember, on this earnings gap down in the end of April. We had this very dangerous looking kind of island top that could have formed here in Meta, but the dip buyers stepped right in and just methodically soaked up these shares, and now we're back at fresh all-time highs. So those are some of the big standouts. That's certainly what's helping the market move. Let's talk about Tesla. So Tesla here, I think, has obviously got everyone's attention now. June 21st, 2 weeks ago, we put out a video as sort of a mystery chart. Towards the end, we talked about this consolidation here in Tesla, and we talked about how it was gearing up for a big move. That was the trade setup we had. We talked about the fact that this was a very volatile stock that had compressed. We saw volatility just really sandwich in here, lots of overlapping trading. We had this big reaction up, and we said, let's be on alert for a breakout move, a volatility expansion move that would bring us into a trending move. So we certainly got it here. We saw one of the best weeks for Tesla. I think this was the 6th best. I was doing some study on this. I think this is the 6th best week for Tesla since it's been publicly traded, and it's the top 5 are all pretty close to one another. So this is, basically one of the best weeks for Tesla in terms of its price appreciation. And with all that said, we just initiated a short position in Tesla on Friday at 249.77 as the exact fill. So we are down a point or two on this already. Now, I would like to say this is some, big bold prediction on why the company must fail. No, it's none of that. It's purely a short-term mean reversion trading system setup. Okay, this is part of our Lamerick trading system, which counter trends short-term impulse moves like this. This is how it trades. This is how it operates. Every signal is counter trend to the short-term move. Now, hopefully it's a little more in line on the intermediate term, but in the short term, it's always taking kind of this counter trend other side of the trade. It's not always as extreme. In fact, most of the time it does not look as extreme as this, but Tesla is certainly, in its volatility expansion mode here. And, we could throw on any number of metrics here on showing how stretched this is. I don't think anyone really needs to see that analysis. Like we said, it was up 27% this week. It's up, I don't even know, 8 days in a row. It's above its upper Bollinger Bands. It's pretty frothy on all metrics, right? I think we can all agree on that. So this is, again, a very tactical trading system, right? And it's a more advanced trading system. So this is not for everyone, and it's short term. So I can almost guarantee that we will not have this position on by the time we record our next Friday video of Stock Market Weekly. My guess is we would be out of Tesla for a loss or a gain, but we're likely going to be out of it by mid next week. That is just inherently how this trading system operates. And I guess the last thing I should say is we think we have 8 longs on and 2 shorts on. So I believe Tesla is just part of 2 short signals. So we're net long the market, but we've got some short exposure here based on this specific signal. So this is a, again, rules-based systematic mean reversion trading system, and we'll see how it goes. I was looking at the stats though just before this video, and I believe Galahad this year, it's got about a 65 or 60, just north of 65% win rate on its short trades. So it's pretty accurate, right? Even in the strong market this year, it's shooting at about a 65 or 66% accuracy rating. So it certainly helps, but Tesla could easily be a loser, right? Nothing is guaranteed here. It's certainly in squeeze mode, but our trading system says too much, too fast, too quick, and it's going to take a very tactical short-term bet. So we are short Tesla, and we'll see how this, we'll try and remember to follow up on this next Friday to see how this trade ended up. Now, let's talk quickly here about Bitcoin. Bitcoin having a very outsized, notable move here this really the past 2 days, right? Happy Independence Day. Certainly Bitcoin getting obliterated on Thursday, 4th of July, and saw some initial follow through selling on Friday, and now it's trying to reverse. So Bitcoin, we've been talking about this. Well, we talk about it almost every week, but sometimes if there's nothing interesting, we don't talk about it. But back on June 14th, we talked about, which was all the way back in here, we talked about Bitcoin weakening up, and back at this time, we still had a long position in our Galahad trend following Bitcoin trading system. And we talked about the fact though, that price was getting sloppy, right? And we even highlighted way back here that a retest of the May lows was getting increasingly likely. You can rewind the tape. If I had a bunch of fancy editors, I would insert the clip here, but you can go back on our YouTube channel, June 14th. You can see what we said about Bitcoin. But we basically said, look, it seems more likely that we're going to come back down here and retest these lows. Last week, we talked about Bitcoin once again, and we had this zone drawn on our chart, right? We basically said that Bitcoin was getting close to a inflection point. We did highlight that this day on Monday could have been the low, and that we were still waiting to see more evidence here that if this was the full low here and we weren't going to come back down and retest the May lows or undercut them. But now that we have a few more days of data, we clearly saw that, nope, this was not the low. We did get that flush, and it did it in a classic Bitcoin fashion, right? Now, you'd have to go beyond the history of just looking at IBIT. You'd have to look at the spot Bitcoin price. And if you go back in its history, Bitcoin is really good at putting in these flush lows, these V-shaped lows where we cascade down, we liquidate longs, we flush the leverage in the system, because again, you have to remember that Bitcoin is traded all over the world and not only by centralized exchanges like the Nasdaq or NYSE, where we all trade stocks here in TradFi land. There's lots of other exchanges out there that you can get access to, lots of different leverage and DeFi yields and just constructs that you can create some pretty interesting positions. And those positions at turning points love to get flushed. And this feels very classic, old school kind of Bitcoin, where it makes a dramatic single day or multi-day move. In this case, it was a 3-day move on increasing range each bar, and with more volume coming in each bar. Sorry, on this chart, I don't have volume. And actually, I don't think TC2000 is going to get volume on this. So you'd have to bring it up in a different charting platform, which I don't have ready right now. But you can basically see that volume was accelerating on the way down. We've got this nice reversal, and now we're starting to reclaim the May lows. So this feels more like a bottom here. We're going to need to pay pretty close attention to it, but I'm liking the action here. The news flow is terrible. Sentiment is terrible. People are giving up on it. Everyone's moved their attention to AI or Mag 7 or just other parts of the market. And now it's feeling like this is the point where you can finally get some footing to get put in place here. So we'll see if that takes place. Once again, our trading system, Galahad, which is an actively managed trend following trading system for Bitcoin. This is why I do think active management makes so much sense to risk manage Bitcoin because of these big moves. So we do not have a trend position. We sold our, we took an exit here in IBIT around 37.20, I believe was the exact price we got. And this was after a hold since February of this year. So we basically locked in about a 49% run here in IBIT, which was wonderful. Hope to get back into it. Hopefully Bitcoin sets back up and we'll absolutely be a buyer again. But we just need to see it set back up again. It's not quite there at this time. So that is Bitcoin. I do want to finish though with miners. We talked about miners last week. We talked about Mara. And we talked about how it was very similar to Tesla, where you've got this volatility compression going on here, and it was set up for a trade. Now, first things first is, look, Bitcoin got hit pretty hard this week. Mara closed green, right? So Mara, a Bitcoin miner, has a lot of Bitcoin on its balance sheet. It did manage to outperform on a relative basis objectively here. So that was a win for, I think, the bulls, but clearly lots of those gains had been given back. We did get that nice squeeze underway here on Monday of this week. I did some follow-up tweeting about this and actively managed this position. So last week I talked about the fact that I had a Mara position on, quickly added to this position on Monday, and then was able to sell a little bit up here. 2280 or so is kind of that rough general zone where I was looking to potentially take some profits, approximately right in here. Only took a small amount of profits, basically rode the bulk of the position back down. Did sell some more on Wednesday as it started to weaken up, and still have some position on right now. So all in all, nothing that great. Booked a little bit of cash, all things considered. Still have a position here in Mara, actively managed it. No big win by any stretch, and I'm still just kind of waiting on it. It's got the potential, but again, I think Bitcoin needs to find its footing, and we got to get back now over 21 or so dollars to get that momentum into check here. I will leave you with a couple of other ideas. We talked about CleanSpark. There's really nothing too much happening there this week, but a couple of other miners, again, just beware of the risk and understand some of these are smaller. Bit Digital, I think, is quite interesting. And again, full disclosure, I do have a position in this BTBT, very smaller miner, has some contracts now with some of the GPU warehousing, or some contracts that are going to be in place here to split their Bitcoin mining warehouses. I think this is interesting on a relative strength basis. Big volume on Friday, big engulfing bar. I think that's interesting. I think Iron is interesting, or Iris Energy has continued to work here. Again, another Bitcoin miner going out at highs. And then I think Coors is interesting as well. Again, another kind of Bitcoin miner that has got contracts in place with sort of the AI side of things, but some good relative strength there. So all three of these basically closing at highs, while Bitcoin has been in a drawdown and you know, flushing out to the downside. So I think there's some interesting action there. I do have positions in all three. And again, I could be out of those quick, right? I trade around them, and it's pretty fast trading on some of that stuff. So, and small position size, because they are very inherently risky. So that's it. That's what I've got for today's video. Hopefully you had a good week trading out there. It was a short week. Thanks as always for tuning in. Don't forget, IBD is running that sale. Link in the description of this video. You get their MARKETSURGE product on a big discount, so take advantage of that while you can. Do some homework. And we've got other links ourselves, our trading systems, our TC2000 products and services. Reach out to us if you have any questions. Take care. Thanks so much for joining, and we'll see you back here in another video.